Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 1% Healthier podcast. Today's episode, we are joined by Ryann Nicole. She's one of my favorite people ever, and so I'm really honored that she's going to be on our podcast today. And to give her an introduction, I wanted to read her bio. It says Ryann Nicole is a licensed therapist, certified nutritionist, and recovered binge eater. She's known for revolutionizing how people heal their relationship with food, not with more rules, rigidity, but with simplicity, self trust, and a massive perspective shift. Her mantra, "You don't have to make it mean so much," has become a lifeline for those learning to let go of shame, release perfection, and get back into living their life. Using her binge eating recovery story as the heart of her message and her clinical expertise as the backbone of her work, Ryann brings a refreshing, relatable voice to the wellness space and here to redefine what it means to live a healthy and fulfilling life. So, Ryann, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. When I was reading your bio and it said you don't have to make this mean so much as a lifeline for like those learning to let go of shame and release perfectionism. I think that's so true. I think when I first came across your profile, that was one of the most common messages. Like you don't have to make this mean so much, and then also you don't know until you try, and then you like end your videos with a thumbs up. I would look forward to that little thumbs up. I'm like, you're right. You don't know until you try. I'm gonna try.
What's so funny about that is I like that just got pulled out of a hat one day. Like I was trying to think the other day where you don't need to make this mean so much. Like when was the first time that I ever said that? When did I say that? Where did that come from? And I cannot pinpoint it. Like that's not something that I've always said. And you don't know until you try. It's not something that I've always said, but it was just sometimes things just come out in a reel or in an email that really click with you guys. And it just sticks. And I love that. And that was one of them. So I don't know where either of those came from. It just came from a really great brain day.
It sticks, that's for
It
sure. It stuck with me.
sticks.
I've loved it. And I say that to myself all the time because as we'll talk about today, like food and body and that mindset towards it doesn't have to mean so much is just like the beginning of where that phrase can make an impact on your life. Now it's more like related to work or related to family, related to relationships. Like I really don't have to make it mean so much. Like, why am I making this such a big deal? Why am I making it such a big deal about like how I post, when I post, who likes it, who sees it? Like, does it really matter? Like it really makes you think. It really makes you question. So I'm really grateful for that phrase. And you know what's cool? I know that in your bio, there's a part where it says like shifting your perspective on healthy eating. And then also it says like a recovered binge eater. I get it. And that's the backbone of your story. What I think is really cool about the work that you specifically do is not only do you get it, but you help us get it ourselves and get it in like a different way just by the way that you share your story, but also the way that you write, the way that you take a thought and help us get it. I don't know how you do it, but you do. And I'm hoping that today, me and like also the person that's listening can help get it and like have light bulb moments that I feel like you naturally help people get through your content. So I just wanted to share that with you. You really do help us get it too. So
I love how you just put that.
it's true. It's true. I was like thinking about it. I was like, I've seen people say, like, yeah, you've been through this, you've been through that. I have too. I get it. But I feel like that's just one way, like, not one way, but I understand that you get it. But the way that you help me understand myself or like me understand the situation is just like a whole nother level of you really do get me, you know? So
100%, because how many times have you been, have I been, have anybody been like, why am I like this? Why am I doing this? I just don't understand. Like, literally, the episode that I put out yesterday was like, we're all cut from the same cloth, right? It's like perfectionistic, goal oriented, type A, can do everything right. So, like, why is it so hard for me to just get food right? Like, I don't get it. And I'm really happy you feel that way because what I am here to help you guys do and what I try to do is help you understand that this isn't a willpower thing. This is not that you're broken and there is a reason behind your behaviors. And the more that you can understand the why, the easier the what becomes.
mm, mm-hmm. Let's talk about that because it's the why. Like, as soon as you understand the why and talking about like we always think, I know you just put out an episode that was like on your private podcast about it's not willpower, it's not discipline, it's not the plan that's wrong, it's not the food that's the problem. Can you talk more about like how you actually find a solution? Because it's not like getting another meal plan. And I know that, but I know that a lot of people are still in that mindset. I just need like a new macro plan. I just need like someone to keep me accountable. I just need something external, but I know that that's not how we find the answers.
Okay, so here's the wild thing. So hear me out. You already have the solution because the food is your solution. The binges are your solution. It's making them the problem
Mm.
that is keeping you stuck. Your solution to avoid, your solution to escape. For some people, your solution to stay alive. For me, if I kept going down the trajectory that I was going down with restricting, I would not be here today. Like, I literally would not be here today if I did not start binging. And so, in a way, it's like, thank God. Like, thank God that our bodies do that because for a lot of people, it starts with restriction. Nobody wakes up and is like, today's the day I'm going to start binge eating. It usually starts so innocent with, I'm going to get healthier, or I'm just going to cut out a few things, or I'm going to lose a few pounds. And then it spirals from there. And so, whether it is the solution for making up for years of restriction, but then all the emotional elements that go along with it, because it's very rarely I just want to lose weight to lose weight. It is I want to be loved, accepted, or maybe it is I just want to lose weight to lose weight. And then you do start losing weight and you get the praise and the attention, and it totally messes with your brain. And that brings in the emotional element where it's like, now I can't turn my brain off. And the only way that I can turn my brain off is with food. And so I'm thinking about food because I don't like my body or I'm not happy with my life. And then the food is the way that I turn off my brain. And it's like this really mixed up cycle. And so I think that if we can shift it to understanding that the binges are not the problem, they're the solution. And asking yourself, what is it the solution to is going to open up a whole new door.
Mm. That I remember just like understanding and accepting that fact of I have to ask myself, what is it the solution to? Because then it was more about, okay, like I'm realizing it's not a food thing. It's like something that I'm using. And I remember like having that light bulb moment, like, oh, I'm actually grateful that this happened to me because now it's exposing like there's some work for me to do. And I don't know, like it's like so hard to like accept that fact that maybe like it's showing you something. How would you like recommend like going about or like what do you tell people like once you realize like I'm binge eating, I'm using this as like a coping mechanism, what do you do from there?
That's a big question
That's
because
true.
it's
That's true.
layered, right? So the the roadmap that I take people down is, I mean, the first thing is we have to get very clear on your why because just wanting to stop binge eating, if I'm being so honest with everybody listening right now, is not enough. If this is just about stopping the binge eating, that will not be enough. And that is so tough because it's like, but that's what I so deeply want. But when it's just about binge eating, it's just about the food. And because this isn't about the food, if it doesn't become more than just stopping binge eating, so what I mean by that is, I want to get my life back. I want to get me back. I want to be able to, go on these spontaneous outings and dinner dates and things and not worry about food. I want to experience life again, like all of those different things, because this work is not easy. It is not easy. And so when things get hard, you need something deeper to pull you through. Otherwise, it's going to be like, well, you know what? I can just restart tomorrow. I can just restart tomorrow. I can just restart tomorrow. But when it's more than that, when it's about your life, about you, it's like, I don't want to restart tomorrow. I've already spent enough time restarting tomorrow. Like, I want to keep going today. So, getting really clear on your why, and that's something that might not start really deep, and that's totally fine. So, you might say, I want to stop binge eating because I want to feel better. Okay, like that's fair. Now ask yourself why again. Like, why do you want to feel better? Why is that important to you? Why does that matter to you? If you don't feel better, then what? You get an answer there. Okay, with that answer, why does that matter? What happens if you don't get that? What happens if, you spend another 5 years in this cycle? Then what? What does that bring up for you? So you're asking yourself, and that's what it looks like to pull back the layers to get to this deeper point of, for most people, it is, I don't want to just exist anymore. I don't want to just survive. Like I want to live because when you're in this cycle, right? Whether it's binge eating or just even having an unhealthy relationship with food. Like it is, I'm just existing. I'm existing from one meal to the next.
Hmm.
And that's such a
Yeah,
dry way to live.
that's so true. It is a dry way to live. And I think that once you realize that that's how you're living and that's the reality of your life, and that your life could be so much more colorful, it could be so much more fun, it could be so much more about just what you're eating. I really like think that's what it's all about. When you're in that phase, is all I care about is what I'm eating, what I'm getting from the grocery store, who I'm eating with, or how much I'm eating, and there's no room for anything else. Like there's no brain space left for anything else. And I remember like one of my breaking points was I want to like travel, and I felt like I couldn't do that yet until like I'd lost the weight, until I'd like reach a certain point, but it would just like keep me going in circles and circles and circles, and I'd never felt like I could live. It was just about like my one goal, and it wasn't fulfilling. Like the goal itself wasn't fulfilling. The process to get there wasn't fulfilling. I think that that was a really hard realization for me, was like, can I even like have like a goal to like be healthy and like also live my life? But I think I was just looking at it the wrong way. Do you like talk to a lot of people that like want to have like this goal to eat healthy or like and just like be healthy, but like it keeps backfiring on them?
Yes. And the ironic thing is that I kid you not, like 90% of my consultation calls, the person that I'm speaking with will say, I genuinely love eating healthy. And I'm like, never ever did I say that you can't eat healthy or that there's anything wrong with eating healthy. I think that there's this misconception that if you're healing your relationship with food or you're allowing all foods, that means that you don't care and you're throwing health out the window. But we're redefining your definition of health because I will argue that even if you have the cleanest, most unprocessed diet that maybe is the epitome of quote unquote health, if you can't take a break from that without hating yourself, you're not healthy, right? Like you could have the most consistent and let's say biohacking, whatever, all of these things, exercise routine. But if you are so anxious with one rest day, you're not healthy. You're not healthy. So it's not that you can't be healthy. It's what is your definition of health? And that's probably something that we need to look at because what I feel like we learn is that when we think of health, we think of just physical. But what about emotional and spiritual and mental and financial and all of these other elements of health that we lose trying to pursue the smallest body that we think is going to be the healthiest body, but how is it the healthiest body when it's destroying our lives and destroying us?
Yes. Oh my gosh. This is a topic that I want to talk about, that I could talk about until I'm like blue in the face, but like what is health really? Is it really like that constant pursuit that's like making us feel crazy? Just to your point that you just barely said, like you could pursue like all the fitness endeavors that you want, but if you feel anxious about taking a rest day, is that really healthy for you? Or if you can love eating like the same breakfast over and over and over again just because you like it and it tastes good, but if you can't have that breakfast and then you're scared of eating something else, then is that mindset about food, is that really healthy?
You know what that
I
just made me think of? I
hmm,
cannot think of the name right now, but there's this documentary about this guy who's obsessed with not aging. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I've heard of it. I don't know the name of it though.
Yeah, I can't think of the name, but there's this guy who's absolutely obsessed with not aging. So his entire day is spent on taking all of these supplements and doing all of these special things to keep his body in this like optimal format so he's not aging. And it's like he's so stressed about keeping himself from not aging that he's literally not even experiencing his life. So it's like you're trying to put all of these years on your life for what? Because you're literally missing the years right now. And I feel like that's what we're doing with health. It's like I have this idea of trying to be healthy, but for what? Like, for what? If you can't go out to dinner with your friends or enjoy birthday cake with your kids, or, it's about to be summer, like going and getting an ice cream just because, or going for a walk instead of being like, I gotta go do my workout. Like, I can't just do a walk, or pacing in your bedroom, like trying to get your Apple Watch rings to close, like those kinds of things. It's like, let's be honest, this is not about health. This is about control.
Hmm. How do you define health?
Ooh. Balance, flexibility. Like I think of my grandma, she is 80 and she acts as if she's maybe like 65. Like, well, we walked to dinner the other day, maybe like a mile. We walked to dinner, had pizza. She walked back with us. She walked, no problem. She gets on and off the floor and rolls around with Charlotte. Like, she is here and she's experiencing life and she eats all the foods and she moves her body, but it's never been rigid. It's always been flexible and it's been to be to experience life. Like it's been, I work out in the gym not to have this body, but so that I can run around with my she's nine great grandkids, nine great grandkids. Great
Wow.
that she runs around with. And it's been like, I want to do this and I want to be here to be able to experience the life. And to me, that is health. It's like, sure, you could check every single box, but what's the point of checking every single box if then you're not able to experience your life, right? So it's like all relative. And that's not saying that I don't pay attention to like fruits and veg and water and sleep. Like I think that people like take that to the extreme. It's like I'm either so focused on that or like everything's out the window and it's like no. All I'm saying is that it doesn't have to mean so much if you don't eat a vegetable or if you can't close your Apple Watch rings or if you don't get 10K steps. It's just flexible.
I love that. I think that's where I really align with you is that I think that that's where it's most fulfilling is in the balance. And obviously, I know like there's like truth to extremes, right? There's like eating like a really clean, unprocessed diet. Yeah, that is good for you, but also allowing yourself to eat all foods, like that's important too, but not just like whatever you want, anytime you want. It's like more indulgent. And I think that that's where I have a really hard time finding people that understand that there's a balance or like creating a space online or finding people that also want that balance, not only in food and fitness, but also in work and in life. Because I think too, that comes that mindset that you're talking about, how you're missing out on the years that you're trying to create. Sometimes I feel that too. It's like, wow, I'm working so hard. Like I'm so focused on one thing that I'm like missing my life. It's like passing me by. And I think I'm noticing like the mindset I had around food and body and exercise now just translates into a different area until I get to like the root of the problem or like what I'm actually trying to make happen.
Yeah.
So I think it's how do you find that balance? Because you talked about how if you're walking around trying to get your 10K steps, it's no longer necessarily about health. It's about control and like seeing a specific result, maybe, or like seeing an outcome that you're attributing to health. Why is it so hard for us to like let go of the control? You know what I mean?
Because of what we make it mean.
Mm,
It's not just letting go of control because I'm letting go. It is now I'm a failure. I am giving up. I am throwing in the towel. I am weak.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. That's exactly what it is. Because even like if you take a rest day or using like the work example, if you take like a few hours away, it feels like then all of a sudden, no, I'm no longer committed. I don't care. Like my goals don't matter to me anymore just because I decided to spend my time a little bit differently. And honestly, I am afraid of like what people think of me or like what people would perceive like my actions as. And it's not anything to do with my goals, but it's what I'm making it mean about like what they think about me. And like, does it even matter? Does it really matter?
It's hard. It's hard though. Like even with me doing this work and knowing this stuff, did I like get a really rude wake up call when I had Charlotte and seeing how out of line my work life balance was? 1,000%. Like that was like a whoa. I didn't even realize like how out of whack that was until I was forced to stop working and take work down. And sometimes we just don't see it and we don't notice it until we do. And then it's like, okay, like this is something that I probably need to work on. And then I think there is like so much conditioning and messages. And I mean, it goes back to meaning. Like, what are we making this mean? Like, I'll even notice myself being like, I feel bad about posting that I'm done with work at 3 o'clock because I should be working until 5 o'clock. But like, I finished all my work for today. And because I work for myself, like, I'm allowed to be done. So, like, I can be done. I don't have to just fill those 2 hours just to fill those 2 hours. And I mean, that's part of the work too, right? It's like noticing it, questioning it, and then challenging it. So I'm noticing
Mm.
myself saying, I can't be done. It's 3 o'clock. I need to work until 5. Okay. Why though? Like, do you have things that you absolutely need to do until 5, or is this because you are making this mean that you're not as dedicated or as disciplined or you're not being as productive until if you don't work until 5? And then it's like, okay, well, now I'm pulling back the layers until then. And then the challenging is, okay, I'm done with work so that I can show myself that I can be done at 3 and it's not a big deal so that I get to
Mm.
choose. And that's what I always say to clients. I'm like, I think that when we're doing any kind of healing work, whether it's food, body, work, yourself, whatever, we think that when we're challenging ourselves, it now means that it has to be that way, right? So it's like now it means that I have to be done with work at 3. It now means that I have to eat Oreos every single day. It now means that I need to take 3 rest days every single day. That's not what we're working on. What we're working on is getting you to a place where you get to choose. And the
Wow.
only way to get you to a place where you get to choose is by you challenging yourself in the other direction so that it is not fueled by fear.
Wow. That's amazing. I think that's what we all really want is to be able to choose and to have that freedom.
I agree.
And the way that you like phrase that, I think is what I needed to hear is like when you challenge it, the belief that you have, it's not meaning that that is now the new rule. That is just showing you that you can choose. If you want to have that food, like you get to choose. If I want to have a rest day or if I want to do a run instead of going to Pilates or if I want to lift weights, like I don't have to make it mean so much. Or you know what, I'm gonna go to the pool today and I'm gonna take a few hours and tan instead of working through lunch. I get to choose. Doesn't mean that I'm gonna do that every day. Doesn't mean that I have to. Doesn't mean that I should. It just means that I get to choose. And I think removing like the shame that I feel about that comes from also knowing that it's my choice and like trying to how do you because I know food and body is like one thing to like think about for yourself, but then when it comes to like other people's opinions, how do you detach from still thinking about like what other people think? Because I know I can choose, but I think that there's still other people and their opinions. Like maybe they don't know that yet. Like they don't know that they can choose. You know what I mean?
It's definitely tough. Like, I wish that there was like a clear cut, I do this to detach and not care about what other people think. And that's the answer. We are so hardwired to care what other people think that it's definitely not that clear cut. But I will say that the more aligned that you are with your beliefs, the easier it is to turn out the noise. So, an example that I give, or like an analogy that I give to clients, is think of, a belief that you have. And for most people, it's like a parenting belief. So, like, think about a parenting belief that you have that if someone said that that was stupid, like, that would be so irrelevant to you, like that would literally just like go in one ear and out the other because you're so aligned with knowing that that's the best choice for your child. It's like getting to that place with your beliefs about food and body. I think that we're still unsure whether this is the right thing because it's so easy to get wrapped up in I want to do the right thing. I want to do what everybody else is doing. I want people to like me. And that's part of the work, right? Like, how do we get you to trust that you know best for you? Because that's really what it is. And then I think the second piece too is I've gotten to a place where, because I've just been around this work for so long, when people outwardly talk about food and body in maybe a judgmental or biased or really ignorant way, I instantly go into not like a pity, I feel so sad for you, but more so like a, I so know what that feels like. And if you're saying this out loud, like I literally can't imagine what's going on in your brain. And that like hurts my heart for you because I know what that feels like. So it's no longer this feeling that I am less than, because I think that that's the feeling that hits when somebody else is talking about food and body or their diet or weight loss, and we're on this healing journey. They are doing the right thing and I'm doing the wrong thing, or they're doing the strong thing and I'm doing the weak thing, or, they're above and I'm below. When, I mean, there's such separate paths. And that does not mean that they are on the correct, better path. And I think that when we can just read between the lines, I mean, that's really what it is. It's easier to separate. Easier, not easy, easier.
That's fair. That's fair. It's easier, but the more that you align with like what gives you conviction to walk your path, I think is what's going to help. Because even you like giving that example of like a parenting belief or literally any belief, when you know when it's like I don't care what you have to say about anything because I know it's best for me. And like there's areas in my life where yeah, like I'm gonna die on that hill, but then there's other ones where I'm like, I'm still trying to climb up the hill, and so I don't know if like I belong on the hill. So it's hard, but I think to your point, I just have to like stand on more of my values and what is best for me. And I think
Hmm.
it does come from a place of being honest with yourself because there's times where I honestly I think about like fitness journey or a testimony or like your work-life balance more as dials rather than on-off switches. Like you can be motivated to do something and turn the light on, and then when you're not, you can turn it off. But I think like if relating it to fitness, like when life gets busy, it doesn't mean that you turn the light off, you just turn it down a little bit. There's room for other things in life. And so like even with work, I know if I'm honest with myself, there's times where I need to turn it up. Like I really need to work. I really need to focus. I really need to do X, Y, and Z. But then there's times where I'm like, maybe I should turn it down a little bit and like let other things into my life and not feel bad about turning it down just a little bit. Because I think maybe it's even my perspective too. Like I think other like no one's even like told me directly like this is what I think about you. It's just all in my head. And I think that's a problem that a lot of people have is that no one's like saying anything directly to you, but it's what you think that they could be saying. So it's like, who told you that? You know, who told you like you can't like take time off? Who told you you can't take a rest day? Who told you you can't have the food? And it's just, I think, a process of being honest with yourself. Really. Would you agree?
100%. And I think the dials are such a great analogy of what health looks like, where it is. Sometimes things are up and sometimes things are down and things ebb and things flow. But to your point about it being about other people, like I think the same thing goes for body. Like when we're looking in the mirror, we're not looking with our eyes, we're looking through what we would think somebody else would see. And like those are the flaws that we are like hyper focusing on,
Wow.
which is why there's
I didn't even.
so much criticism, right? Like if it was just you on a stranded island, like you didn't have any of these beliefs, like I think of Charlotte, like she doesn't look in them, like she thinks her body is like the coolest thing ever right now. And all of us were born that way. And it's all things that we were taught as we start to see each other through, or we start to see ourselves through other people's eyes. I'm too much, I'm too loud, I'm too big, I'm too small. And then that's how we see ourselves.
Wow. I've never thought about it like that, where like the criticism about yourself, like especially like body image, comes from like you not even seeing with your own eyes, you're seeing through the eyes of somebody else.
Yeah.
Wow, I've never heard that before.
So when you're
Because it's so
struggling with
true. Like I,
yeah, I was gonna say when you're struggling with body image, I mean, something that can be so helpful is just asking yourself, like, whose eyes am I looking through right now?
hmm, I'm gonna use that. That's powerful. Speaking of like body image, I know something I learned from you is like it doesn't have to be body positivity, it doesn't have to be body shame, but there's like this middle ground of body acceptance where it's not that we love everything about our body or love exactly what we see in the mirror, but we accept where we are and we like move forward with that. Can you talk about like what actually is body acceptance and like why that might be a better approach than just like the body positivity movement?
This is so timely because I literally just posted on my story today about acceptance because this is such a block for so many people. I think the first thing that I'll say is I truly believe that the body positivity movement is amazing. And I'm so happy that it happened. And I'm so happy that it has gone in that direction. The only thing that I don't love is I feel like it still puts an emphasis on the aesthetics of body when our ultimate goal is just to be like, my body allows me to do everything that I want to do in my life. And I don't necessarily need to be attracted to my body to respect it and care for it. And sometimes I think that the message with body positivity comes across as you need to be attracted to your body when the aesthetics really aren't relevant at all, and that can be a block for so many people because it's like there's no way that I'm ever going to be attracted to this body. There's no way I'm going to look in the mirror and love what I see. And because that feels like such a reach, then it becomes something where it's like, if I can't do that, if I can't even see that ever happening, like why even try? But the problem is that as long as you have a unhealthy relationship with your body, or if you are unhappy with your body, you're going to be hyper focused on food. And it just keeps you into the spiral where if body's important, food's going to be important. And our goal is for those things to not be important and for you to be important, for living to be important, for health to be important. And so when I say acceptance, I think people hear it as I'm embracing this. I'm okay with this. Like this is my body and I'm like totally happy with it. And that's not the case at all. I to put it in like a totally different example because sometimes I feel like it's easier when you like take it out of body stuff to apply it. This morning, I got a message from Charlotte's daycare that they had a power outage, and so they were not taking babies. So daycare was closed for the day. Husband works full time, I work full time. We get that message at 7:30 a.m. My first call is at 9. He needs to be at work at 9. And so that is a situation that, like, at this moment in time, I literally have zero control. Like, there is nothing that I can do to get this daycare up and running. So, we apply that to body right here in this moment, right now. There is nothing that you can do to change the size of your body in this moment, right here, right now, this minute. We're talking about this minute right here. I think that people get into the nuances of, well, I could change my body and I could do all of these. We're here. Okay, we're here. So let's be here right now, today, in this moment. This is your body. Right now, right here, today, Charlotte's daycare is closed. Accepting the fact that Charlotte's daycare is closed is not me being like, I love this. I love this for us. This is so great. This is so amazing. I don't care. I don't wish it was any different. It is me literally being like, her daycare is closed. Okay, what am I gonna do? I can be mad. I was mad. I was pissed. I was angry. It's frustrating. I pay a lot of money for this daycare and it feels like it's closed all the freaking time. Me being mad though, and kicking and screaming and throwing a tantrum is not going to open up her daycare. It's just going to waste a hell of a lot of energy. It's going to stress everyone out and it's just going to ruin the day. So I just embrace that daycare is closed and then I do what I need to do. So when it comes to accepting your body, it's the same thought process. It is, this is what my body is today. Knowing that this is what my body is today, what am I going to do? How am I going to show up? How am I going to care for it? And that doesn't mean that you like it. It doesn't mean that you don't necessarily want to change it. It's just, this is it. It's just a perspective shift. And I think that that's what keeps so many people stuck is they think that it's embracing when it's really just changing your focus.
I love that. I love that it's about changing your focus, but when you were talking about like at the very beginning on how the body positivity is kind of going in the direction of like it still is about aesthetics. I really wanted to like hit home on that piece. Can you just like share that message again?
Yeah.
The
I
difference between body positivity versus like acceptance.
Yeah, I mean, I think that body positivity is I love my body. I think that there's an element of it that it's I love what my body does. I think that it does embrace all aspects. I don't think that you have to be positive about your body to respect it and care for it. And I think that that's the difference where there's this belief that to be healed and to have a good life, you need to be positive about your body. Now, that doesn't mean that the other option is that you're negative. It is, I'm just freaking neutral. Like I'm neutral. So I think that there are two elements to that. The opposite of body positivity is body neutrality. And the way to get to body neutrality is through acceptance. So acceptance is the action, it's like the verb, it's the thing that you're doing, and neutrality is the feeling.
Interesting. I didn't think about it neutrality as like a feeling versus something that you're doing. Because I remember like too, like another example, like acceptance that you'd given in the past was like if you had like acne on your face in this very moment, there's like not a whole ton that you could do. Like you could cover it up or like put cream on it to help it, but at the end of the day, like this is what I look like. I may not love it, but like I have to continue on with my day. And like I can either let that ruin my day or I can not make it the sole purpose of how I feel about the day. And I think too that was like a big lesson for me is this is my body today and I might not be exactly what I love, but like it doesn't mean that I it's bad. It doesn't mean that I have to have a bad day just because I don't like the way I look or something like that. It's just who I am. It's just who I
Yeah.
am.
I also think it's important to just mention why. Like, why do you need to do that? Notice how much energy you are using by hating and resisting and rejecting your body that isn't helping you feel any better. That's why. That's why. Because the hating and the shaming and the punishing is not getting you to where you want to go. So, what if you try something else?
That's true. There it is. Yep. Because if the hating and the shaming and talking bad about yourself and not liking how you look in like the mirror of a gym workout that makes you want to quit, then maybe we should try something else. And we never know until we try. And so
Never know
like
until you
thinking
try.
nicely about ourselves or just like accepting like I can still have a good workout even if I don't look great.
I can still have a good life, even if I don't
Hmm.
love everything about my body.
Yep. Okay, there were a few different questions that I wanted to ask just to wrap up the topic of body image, but also food noise and how that affects us because I know like when we like feel bad about our body, then it like turns to food, and then when it's about the food, then it's about the body. It's like kind of these cycles. And one of them that I feel like I've run into a lot personally, but also like I've seen a lot of people like talk about it online or like clients that I've even had. And it's that the when you've started your day off, like you at night, like you tell yourself in the morning, like I'm gonna follow the plan, I'm gonna follow this kind of diet, I'm gonna eat this, this, and this, I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna do all these things. And so then the day starts, you're on track, you're doing everything you need to. And then at night, there's just this void, and it's something like, well, all of a sudden, however you like get to the point, but like you no longer care about your goals anymore. It's like, well, I'm just gonna go like eat this food and I'm gonna start over tomorrow. How do you navigate that? Like when all of a sudden like you don't even recognize yourself anymore because you were so committed at the beginning of the day, like you were so focused and driven and like you start out that way, but then at the end it's just like I don't care anymore. Like I guess I'll just like start over tomorrow. Like how do we navigate that?
So this is just a direct result of all of the energy that you are putting into trying to get food and movement and all of these other elements of your life right. And the problem with using all of that energy is that by the end of the day, you don't have any left. And so it's kind of like, I cannot give any more fucks because I don't have any more to give. Like I always tell clients like you only say F it if there's something to say F it to. And that F it is like I have been holding on so much or trying so hard and I just can't do it anymore. And I need a release. I need an escape. And again, when we look at food as the solution, like you already have the solution, that's why you're going to it because it is your escape. So I think the problem is that we focus so much on actions rather than, and this is getting into totally James Clear stuff, but the kind of person who you want to become. Because when it's just about the next action, the next step, then every single food decision, every single exercise, every single workout does mean so much. But if it's about who you are and who you want to become, I want to become the kind of person who respects and cares for their body. I want to become the kind of person who is flexible. I want to be the kind of person who is healthy, but health is multifaceted. And I believe that and I live that. Then it's a lot easier to align your actions to that rather than trying to force yourself to do different things. So I just see this as all day long, you're trying to hold on, and by the end of the day, you don't have any more energy to keep holding on.
Hmm. That's such a good way of putting it, is that you don't say F it if there's nothing to say F it about. I think that's so true. And when you really do have that perspective shift that it's like about who you want to become. And again, I think too, the being honest with yourself. What is it that you really need right now?
I mean, if we come
And
complete circle, it's changing the question from how do I stop binge eating or how do I stop eating at night or how do I stop eating when I'm bored to what am I eating over? But also, this isn't about stopping the behavior, it's about not needing the behavior. And again, that comes back to understanding the behavior as the solution, not the problem.
wow, that's profound. I hope that all the listeners can really start to take a look and asking themselves better questions. Like maybe it's not a, like to your point, it's not like how do I stop binge eating? It's not how do I stop overeating? Or like I see a lot in my life, like people that are like, take this food away from me. I can't control myself around the food. But rather it's like, what are you trying to escape from? And I think being honest about those type of things is where you're gonna find the next breakthrough in that pursuit of being healthy. Because that, if that's what we're really after is becoming that type of person, then maybe it's I had like it's the actions, but it's also like the reason why behind it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, I appreciate everything that you've shared on the podcast, and I know that you are a wealth of wisdom and your perspective on what health is and what that means to you means a lot to me because I really align with that. And I'm grateful for what you shared on the podcast today because it even gives me things to think about on my why and how I can be more aligned with my values and like what actions I can take to be a better person for myself, but also for everybody around me and being a good example of that. My last question for you, Ryan, is what does 1% healthier mean to you?
Ooh, that's such a good question. Hmm. I see it as just taking the next step. Like, I don't even see it as like always needing to be better because sometimes I feel like that's the next trap, right? Like, it's like I'm always a work in progress. And I think that that can be a toxic cycle in and of itself. But I
Mhm.
think that I see it as like rather than looking at whatever it is that you're going after, healing wise, health wise, food and body wise, rather than looking at the entire mountain, how much work you have to do, how much you have to change, everything that's going to need to happen for you to get to a different state or a different state of mind or a different level of health. It is just looking at that next step.
Oh, that's so true. That really is what it is it's the next right step. And I think I've heard that example given before, like in the stock market. Like, yeah, we always want to see like an upward trend, and we think that that means every single day it goes up, and it's that cycle of I'm never gonna be good enough. And I think that if we're not careful, like that's what it's gonna feel like, is that I'm never reaching like that next level. But the example of the stock market is it's not up every single day. It's up and it's down, but it's going to keep going. It's going to keep going. And the trend over time, over a year, over 5 years, 10 years, the trend is up. You're climbing up the mountain. And I think I love that definition that it really is that next right step.
Have you
So
seen
thank you for sharing.
have you seen that visual where it's like it's an up trajectory? I'll have to send it to you so you can post it somewhere so listeners can see what I'm talking about. But it's like there's waves of like up and down and up and down and up and down, but rather than it being like up and down straight across, it is up and down, but still going up. And I always love that visual to just be a reminder that even when things ebb and flow, you're still moving forward.
Yep, very true. Even when things ebb and flow, you're still moving forward. And I think when we realize that that is 1% healthier, then we're going to feel a lot better about our progress and not be so tied to the results. Because I think if we're not careful, like that's what we're trying to pull away from is always doing something for a result. And I want to make sure that people know that 1% healthier is about who you're becoming in that process. And it's about becoming the mountain climber, not necessarily summiting all the mountains. So I
Totally.
appreciate that. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It really means a lot to me that you're here, and your wisdom is everything to me. I really cherish it. And I hope that all the listeners also are grateful for that. Can you tell the listeners where to find you, where they can connect with you and learn more from you?
Yeah, so it's Ryann Nicole everywhere. The only caveat is I have two N's in my name. So it's Ryann, RYANNNICOLE everywhere. Yeah, come hang out. I would love to continue this conversation, chat more, have a podcast, and yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Of course, I'll put everything in the description box and what we talked about today. So, thank you guys for listening to the podcast. If you've enjoyed it, you can give it an honest rating and review, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.